Hello there, Mac friends. Brent Deverman here, and I have been drowning in Sketch. I've been designing iPhone screens, and I've run into a bunch of issues that I had to go ask my mentor about. And he showed me the easy way to do things, and now I'm going to show you. So let's jump over to Sketch. I've been doing lo-fi and mid-fi iPhone screens, and I wanted to use rectangles for this. But I found out that rectangles are not the right thing to use. And I'm going to teach you how to use frames, stacks, and text to do what you need to do. And we'll just zoom over here and hit the F key to create a frame. That allows us to drag out a frame that's the size of an iPhone Pro 17 Max. And then we're going to create some text on the frame just to give it a title. So this will be items to delete. Okay, maybe we want to make it big like a title and black. Increase the font size. Okay, now we have our canvas to work on, and you'll see that these frames are like a canvas. I can select the frame and I can move it around, and the text comes with it. I couldn't do this with a rectangle. Basically, we're just going to create a frame within a frame. So we're going to create a frame, but this time we're not going to drag out an iPhone. We're going to create a square holding down the Shift key, make it about 120 pixels. And then we're going to duplicate this frame a bunch of times. You can see in the left side, it's showing the frame, but the frame is on top of each other. It's easy to fix though, because we can select all of them and we can do Command L, which is the command to create a stack. And now you can see the frame is, each frame is moved over, and the stack is what we call a horizontal stack. This corresponds a lot like an H stack when you're doing iOS development. And you also have a vertical stack. We can click on it and you can see that everything automatically shifts. Now, we want to create a grid, and we can first start to hover over this, and we'll see these red handlebars, and we can, this is how you adjust the spacing. So we got like a 6-pixel spacing in between each grid now. But our grid is, going off the screen, and we want to, create the grid going all the way down. And originally, I thought I would need to create an H stack of a few frames, and then create a V stack of a bunch of H stacks. But instead, I found out there's an easy to use wrap items function. And I just click on that, and it's going to be magic as I resize this frame. Let's make this frame kind of as big as the iPhone. And you can see that our frames within this H stack are going and wrapping. And we have these red handlebars that we can adjust the spacing again. And you can see we have a spacing of 8 there. 5 is good. And you have the grid starting to form in. But we probably want to make a few more grids, and we can fill it in, go down another row. It just wraps very easily. We want to put things inside the grid, and that's easy to do as well. I will first go and put some text in the grid. Okay, so let's click here. Oh, the text is in the stack actually, right? And it's like pushing everything down. What we want to do is we want to show like the size of this image. So we're going to say it's 3 gigabytes. How do we get this in the frame? Let's just drag this text on the sidebar into the first frame, and it puts it right in the middle. We can maybe resize this text to be, 24 point, and we can kind of drag this text down to the right. And you can see it all kind of fits together. We'll give it a little bit some space from the edge. Then maybe it's something we want to repeat on each of the squares. And that's easy too. We can just drag it and drop it into the frame. And the frames are basically acting like a group, and because the text is located on the lower right corner. In the first one, it's going to be repeated on the next ones. All right, I'm back and I've got some photos from my photos library. And we're going to just, play around with dragging these on. And as I drag it on, you can see that the photo is in the frame. It's clipped by the frame. So it's actually inside the frame. And so that means we can put this in our smaller frame. Let's make this a little bit smaller. And let's drag it up so it's aligned with this top frame here. And we can then just drag this photo under the text and we can have it show up there. You can see that the text is in the corner, photo's there. We can do the same thing with other photos. Make this one a little bit smaller, put it in our frame here. Okay, let's do on frame 4. You can see that the photo appears there. I think we have one more photo we can do the same thing with. Have a little coconut. Want to shrink it down a bit. And we'll then bring it in here. And we can then put it into frame 3. Now I've got 3 images. And, everything sticks together. So maybe I don't like the order of these. I can reorder them in the frame. I can put this one down here. And it makes it very easy to move around the frames within the H stack or the V stack. And it's a good way to move around components. And now we're going to create a toolbar. And I'm going to show you some more complex stacking. First, we're going to create some text here. So I want a select button. I also want to show how many photos are available. So that's 1,000 photos. And then we're going to go to SF symbols, and I want to have a filter. So I can filter those photos. All these we can select, and we can then just turn into a stack. And it's an H stack. It knew how to do an H stack. And you can see it kind of align things. And sometimes you might have the alignment off a little bit. Maybe you want to align middle. But we don't want to have the filter like in between 1,000 photos and select, right? It's kind of evenly distributed. We want to have it more towards the right of select. So we're going to work on that. And you can just do an H stack within an H stack. And that's what we have here. Now, then that allows us to take this and adjust it. I think we want to choose end. And you can see that the filter goes to the right. And it's a little bit too close to the select now. So let's go over here and adjust the spacing a little bit, right? Get a little bit more space there. That allows us to space that out so we can then do another little trick. But before we do that trick, we want to make sure that the items to delete and this one are also in a stack. And you can see I just hit Command L. And we've created a stack for items to delete. And it automatically made it into a vertical stack. So it's kind of smart that way. And we can adjust the space between the stacks. If we wanted to, we could even adjust where the stacks are. So I think this is great for, moving around UI elements. But we'll keep it like this for now. And the next thing is the select should be more prominent. It should be kind of a button. And I was like, well, I'll just create a rectangle, right? But as I told you, don't use rectangles because you're going to see what happens here. I can create a rectangle. I can put it in the stack. And no matter what I do, I can't put the button on the rectangle, right? They're independent. And it's very hard to group them together and get them to be on top. So let's get rid of this rectangle, go back to what we had. And we're just going to select this text and just do a Command L, turn the text into a stack. So basically the text is on top of a stack. But what you can do with stacks is you can style them. And that's very important because then I can add a fill down here. And if I just add that fill, I get a default blue. And I can do things like play around with the corner radius, turn it more into a button. And I've styled the text like a button. And now I'm on my way to having a proper user interface. I hope that you've seen, don't use the rectangles. That's the first thing I would think is I want to take a rectangle and a piece of text and group them and then drag them around as a group. But instead, use frames. And you can put a bunch of stuff in frames. You can drag frames around, and all the stuff that's inside the frame is going to go with it. And you can have frames on top of frames. Use H stacks, or stacks that are horizontal, and vertical stacks. And then use the wrapping function to wrap those stacks, like we did right here. From there, you should be on your way to automating your sketch designs, and it should just be a little bit more easier, and you kind of understand the whole concept of Sketch here. If this helps you be more efficient with Sketch, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.